let's do one more thing. Let's add one more layer, and let's do something a little more drastic with the bump or the displacement. So let's turn off the color and spec and keep the depth on. And we'll be using the brush tool with the first alpha, as most people call alpha or pin 1. And let's put in some sculpted detail here for something which we might consider an eye socket. Let's get something interesting going here. Let's put a larger, there we go. We'll smooth that out a wee bit. Okay. Let's zoom out. That looks something like an eye socket, but we really don't want the bumpy texture on our creature here. So let's go to layer 2 and activate the erase tool. We'll scale that up. Let's turn down the transparency just a bit. Let's go with 75% or so. And let's erase in here. Oops. Yeah, we'll keep the color in the spec. Why not? We just want to erase the depth. Let's get rid of some of this bumpiness inside of here. You would imagine around an eye socket like this that the bumpiness would kind of taper out a little bit. So that looks okay. We still got the color in there. So, I don't know, let's paint something like black in there. And we'll do that on a new layer. We'll do that on layer, we'll do it on layer 3. So, let's turn on color. And we better, whoops, I'm using the eraser. Whoopsie, let's use the brush tool. Okay. Activate color only. And I have 100% transparency, so let's tone that down to 50% for around the edges here. Of course, we'd hope to have an eye in this socket, but that's beyond the scope of this tutorial, of course. So we'll just blacken around the edge here ever so slightly. Kind of fade it. Alright, we're going to call this done. So if we go up to File, Open in the original app, we're going to do the same thing here. Export at low poly mesh, color, spec, tangent, normal, and displacement map with all the previously used options, as well as the coarse option here. Let's hit OK, and I'm going to pause the video while it's doing this operation, so I'll be right back. Okay, so of course we're going to get the same warning here. Let's just hit OK. And you'll see the texture is already automatically reloaded, so we don't actually need to bring in the new mesh. If we hit F9, we should have our displacement map here, but it looks like it's not quite rendering. So let's take a look and see what's going on. Let's make sure our bump is turned on. We probably need to turn. No, that's still on. Okay. What could be doing that? Well, let's just go ahead and reload the mesh. Alright, yep, open. There we go, that has replaced the mesh. Let's do an F9. No joy on the displacement map. So let's try going to the render tab again, make sure the bump is turned on. Let's see, we do have the two little dots for the eye sockets we've just done, so that's fine. Alright, let's go to the material, or the surface rather, for the material. There's the surface. Yes, max displacement is not turned on. Let's turn that back on and set the subdivision back to 8. Now let's do an F9. And no joy. Looks like something's going awry here. Oops. So let's go back over to the materials tab. Let's double check our texture map. Let's go ahead and reload all of them manually just in case. Of course that's not going to change because they're all already loaded. Okay, let's check our bump here. 0.004 might be too low. Let's just crank it up. Something's not quite right here. Yeah, looks like the scale of the depth map has actually changed somehow. So let's try some new settings here. 0.2 is too high. Let's try 0.02. That's getting close. We'll try 0.04. That's about right. Okay, so there you have it. We can use Photoshop in the mix. We can paint our textures in 3D Coat. We can do depth. We can do normal map. We can do just about anything. UVs, retopology, and so on. And one last note before we actually finish is I want to show how to do pin alphas and voxel objects. It's actually quite simple. So let's go to 3D Coat real quick. Actually, we'll go ahead and just keep that scene rolling. So let's, in Messiah, we'll do drop mesh in 3DC as voxels. So let's tick that. Go to 3D Coat. And it's going to, there we are, pop over to the voxel room. We'll scale this up, and you'll see here we can now use this as a voxel object, which is great. So we can do numerous things with this. There's actually a couple of videos that I've done already on this, so I'm not going to discuss the merge tool. You can check that out on my site. Okay, so there's that. We can also, if we go back to Messiah, we can create a pin alpha with it. So let's tick that box, go back over, and you'll see we can create a pin with this. Let's make one real quick. Let's make a 512 by 512 brush, and oops, looks like I I just messed it up. So let's take one of these here. We'll do Y down. So let's just go with the feet as a pin. Make it a little. That'll work. Let's hit create, and then let's go back to the paint room, and you'll see up here under the brushes tab we now have this new brush that looks like the feet of this creature. And if we go to stamp mode, we can stamp that right on. So there you have that. Let's go back over to Messiah. Of course, we can also send it as a primitive. It's very similar to the merge tool, except not quite as functional. We can do auto retopo. That's a whole other topic. I actually have a video on that as well. So check out that video on my site if you want to watch the auto retopo tool. UV mapping, I think, is rather self-explanatory. Again, I have videos on that too. Basically, you can use any of 3D Coat's tools inside of Messiah now. So, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.